Hello there, Year 6. I hope that we are well. We're looking at multiplication of fractions again today, but we're looking at it a slightly different way because we're looking at multiplying mixed number fractions. So let's look at question 1. We can see here for A, we've got 4 times 1 and 1/5. Now, this looks confusing, so we have to break it down as is shown within the diagrams and within the second section here. We do 4 times 1. That's very straightforward. And then we do 4 times 1/5. And that is exactly what we did yesterday. So hopefully you'll still be able to do that. Remembering, as we kept saying yesterday, don't change that denominator. Hopefully this will be your answer. 4 times 1 obviously equals 4. Then 4 times 1/5 is 4/5, giving you a total of 4 and 4/5, which is exactly what you can see within the diagram. So let's look at B. 4 times 2 and 1/5. Now there are lots of boxes here, but actually you should be able to do this quite straightforwardly because all you need to do is take 4 times 2 and then 4 times 2 and 1/5. If you do those separate calculations, then bring them together, your answer should match the bar model example here. Okay, so 4 times 2, then 4 times 1/5. Underneath you can see we've got 4 times 2 and 2/5. Yet again, we're following that same procedure. Break it down to 4 times 2 and then 4 times 2/5. Put those answers together and that should match the bar models you can see in front of you. And here we've got the answers. 4 times 2 equals 8. 4 times 1/5 equals 4/5. So now when we add 8, add 4/5, we get 8 and 4/5, which as we've said, matches the bar model to this side. Next, we did 4 times 2 and 2/5, so we broke that down. 4 times 2 gives you 8, then 4 times 2/5 gives you 8/5, okay? And all together you'd get 1 and 3/5. Once you've added those together, at the bottom you can see 8 plus 1 and 3/5 would give you 9 and 3/5, okay? So what I'd like you to have a go at is these calculations. 3 times 8 and 2/7. Remember, the denominator stays exactly the same. Break the calculation down into 3 times 8 and then 3 times 2 and 7/8. Just use your multiplication knowledge very carefully. For B, 2 times 12 and 2/11. So again, 2 times 12, do that calculation, and then do 2 times 2/11. Once you've done those two calculations, bring them together, and you'll have a very clear answer. Again, it'll be an 11th because we don't change that denominator. Next, you've got 6 and 2/11 times 4. So 6 times 4, we should be able to do that very easily, and then 4 times 2/11. Over at D, we've got 4 times 6 and 3/19. Now that 19 might scare you, but remember, it doesn't change, it doesn't need to. You need to do 4 times 6 and then 4 times 3/19. For E, it's 2 and 2/25 times 12. So again, do the whole number calculation first. 2 times 12, then 2/25 times 12. And finally for F, 8 times 1/15, and then 8 times 3 full ones. Break it down, put the calculation together at the end. What is the same and what is different about your answers? So as you're putting these answers down, you should be able to spot some patterns between them. Okay? Maybe pause the video to write down the calculations. So as you can see quite clearly, there was a pattern within the answers because 24 whole ones is there very clearly in all of these answers. The difference is that the fraction is different, okay? Now, let's go through each answer carefully. We've got 3 times 8 and 2/7. So we do 3 times 8 to start off with, and that gives us 24. And then we do 3 times 2/7. Well, the 7 stays the same, that's the denominator. We do 3 times 2, that gives us 6/7. B, 2 times 12, we do first, that gives us our 24. Then 2 times 2/11 gives you 4/11. Next, you've got 6 and 2/11 times 4. So you do 6 times 4, that gives you 24. Then 2/11 times 4 gives you 8/11. For D, it's 4 times 6 to give you 24 whole ones, and then 4 times 3/19. Well, 4 times 3 is 12, and 19 stays the same, so it's 12/19. After that, we've got E, 2 and 2/25 times 12. So we do the 2 whole ones times 12, that gives you 24. Then 12 times 2/25 is 24 over 25. Finally, with F, it's 3 times 8 whole ones, that gives you 24. And then 8 times 1/15. The 15, it stays the same, and 8 times 1, hopefully everybody knows, is 8. So 24 and 8/15. And as we've said at the bottom, they all contain 24 wholes, but the fraction is different. So, what about this question? Here we've got Ron, who says 5 times 3 and 2/11 is equal to 3 times 5 and 2/11. What I'd like you to do is do those calculations to check whether or not Ron is correct, okay? And then what you need to do is explain whether he is right or wrong. Again, I'd recommend you pause the video to give yourself time to work through it. So as you can see from the answer, and as you hopefully found out yourself, they are actually different. Okay, Ron is incorrect because 5 times 3 and 2/11 would give you 15 and 10/11. That's because 5 times 3 gives you 15 whole ones, but then 5 times 2 is 10, so that gives you 10/11. You can see with 3 times 5 and 2/11, 3 times 5 does give you 15 whole ones, but 3 times 2/11 will give you 6/11 because 6 is 3 times 2. Now, let's look at the next question. Again, these are now getting trickier. These are where you're having to apply these skills, okay? So if you do start to struggle, please don't worry about it. As long as you've understood the concept up to this, that's absolutely brilliant, okay? Eva drinks 3 1/3 litres of water a day. How many litres of water does she drink in a week? So think of how many days in a week. Do the calculation of that with 3 1/3 litres of water. Again, I'd recommend you press pause to work through this calculation. Please don't rush it, okay? I know many of you will have looked at the answer straight away, but let's go through it carefully and let's recap what we needed to do. Eva drinks 3 1/3 litres of water a day. How many litres of water does she drink in a week? Well, the calculation we need to do is 7 times 3 1/3. So we start off by doing 7 times 3. And hopefully you'll know that gives us 21. So that's 21 litres straight away. The next calculation is 7 times 1/3. Well, 7 times 1/3 is going to give us 7/3. Obviously that's an improper fraction because it's top heavy. So then we have to look at that and say, right, there are 2 full ones and 1/3 within 7/3. So we take the 2 full ones and 1/3 and add it to 21, and that will give you your answer of 23 1/3. As I've said, that was a tricky question. It was trying to make you apply your skills that you've been learning throughout today's lesson in a real life situation, okay? Hopefully you've done your very best effort, which I'm sure you have, and you'll be able to send through your answers to me and I'll be able to email you back. So thank you very much. Have a go and take care.